As we begin yet another week, we are watching an active weather pattern across the United States that will bring severe weather to the south on our Tuesday and snow across the upper Great Lakes. All this and more next at the Weather Farm. Welcome to the Weather Farm. As we begin our Monday, we are watching an area of low pressure that is centered over Wyoming and the energy associated with it that is bringing snow to Nevada and Utah. All of that is going to slide to the east slowly Monday into our Tuesday and become the forcing mechanism for a major springtime winter storm. As we begin our Monday, we are already seeing associated with this weather system winter storm watches stretching from northeastern Colorado through Nebraska into South Dakota. We expect these to continue to increase as we go out our Monday. Out ahead of it, though, we are seeing high wind watches across most of Kansas into eastern Nebraska, even into Iowa and Missouri, stretching down through the panhandle of Oklahoma into Texas. Across parts of eastern New Mexico, we have high wind warnings in effect, and we have red flag warnings for the southwestern part of New Mexico. As this system continues to move towards the east, it is going to bring dry, warm air into New Mexico, into Texas for our Monday, and that is going to prompt fire warnings across this area. In fact, when we take a look at the fire hazards map for our Monday, we see parts of southeastern New Mexico under an extreme risk. Places like Roswell up to Alamogordo, you're in the line for extreme fire danger. So just the tiniest spark could rapidly spread fire across eastern New Mexico. Places like Albuquerque, stretching up into the panhandle of Oklahoma into southeastern Colorado, you are under a critical level for fire danger. Again, winds are going to be the primary concern here with the lowering dew points, relative humidities 5 to 15%. As we move from our Monday into our Tuesday, we see that area of low pressure make its way into western Kansas. And take a look at that. That is a 985 millibar low. On the backside, we're going to see snow stretching from eastern Colorado through Nebraska up towards South Dakota as we watch a line of storms beginning to develop from eastern Kansas down through the Dallas area. That line is going to continue to move east during the day on our Tuesday. And this is the area we've been talking about for a while now. And it's why the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and issued a very high risk of severe weather across parts of southern Arkansas, most of northern Louisiana, into western Mississippi. And that's shaded in that reddish color. Elsewhere, we have an elevated risk of severe weather for our Tuesday, and that stretches into southern Missouri, over into Alabama, and down to the Gulf. Our concern is primarily going to be focused on that reddish area, and we're going to get into why that is a little bit later. But we believe that this is the area that will see the greatest threat of severe weather for our Tuesday. So let's put our map into motion. This is Monday afternoon. We're watching across Texas and Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. Pretty quiet conditions. We see that snow across parts of New Mexico in those higher elevations. But by 1, 2 a.m. on Tuesday morning, we start to see a line forming through Oklahoma, stretching down into Texas. It's a skinny line of storms. Out ahead of it, we do have some discrete cells. And look, as we go into Louisiana, we see more discrete individual cells in the Tuesday afternoon time frame. Up north, we do have more of a steadier line, but it is those discrete cells as we go Tuesday afternoon into our Wednesday morning that we are going to be concerned about with the threat of severe weather. And we saw those primarily in Louisiana, eastern Texas, into Louisiana, into western Mississippi. And so that's why when we look at the Storm Prediction Center hazard area, we're focused on that reddish area for the greatest threat on our Tuesday. Now, putting the entire map into motion, looking nationwide, we see that low pressure beginning to gather its energy as it makes its way through eastern Colorado. We start to see that skinny line develop there in Oklahoma by the time we get to Tuesday morning. Snow is flying on the backside. Rain is spreading up through Missouri, Illinois, into Indiana. By the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, we're going to watch for severe weather across the south. But on the north side, from places like eastern South Dakota through Minnesota into the UP of Michigan, we could spin a lot of snow. And look, this low is down to a 981 millibar low. That is a very intense 980 now, very intense low pressure system for the month of March at this latitude. So it's definitely a rare event that we are seeing with this particular storm, and it's why all forms of weather and all forms of hazards are in play with this particular system. The other thing we got to watch is this low level jet. We talked about in our last video. We see by Tuesday afternoon that those winds are getting up to 50, 60, 70 knots. And this is a classic comma shaped low pressure system that's going to be developing with this particular system. And that low level jet is going to allow these storms to continue to be strong as they move east. And I want to bring here, this is about Tuesday at 10 o'clock at night. And why I say this is a classic lower level jet is we look here as at the bottom of the trough through Arkansas and Louisiana, and we see the air parcels going through the trough around the area of low pressure that's centered somewhere around northwestern Missouri. But we see divergence in the exit regions of the jet streak. So we see some air parcels going up towards Lake Michigan, while we see other air parcels turning and going out toward the Atlantic Ocean. So we see the strong winds in the entrance region on the back side of the low, and as those air parcels move through the bottom of the jet streak, we're seeing divergence in the exit regions. So convergence in the entrance region, divergence in the exit region. And this is going to allow this system to make its way and stay strong all the way through Kansas towards the East Coast. As I mentioned, the winds are going to be the big thing. Here on Monday, we could see winds getting close to 50 miles per hour across parts of New Mexico, but all that energy is going to move east. On our Tuesday, we could see 60 mile per hour winds with severe weather storms, but it is the backside where we see that snow across parts of Iowa, Nebraska, into Kansas, into Missouri, where winds are going to exceed 40 to 50 miles per hour. And this is why we believe that we could be dealing with blizzard-like conditions across the northern plains into the upper Great Lakes with this particular system by the time we get to Tuesday into Wednesday. So it's definitely something we're going to watch to see if we have any blizzard warnings issued with this particular system. So by the time we get to Wednesday morning, that low pressure center is near Chicago. It's a 985 millibar low. We're still seeing that snow wrap around through the UP of Michigan, through Wisconsin, into Iowa and Missouri. That line of storms is making its way through Georgia into the Carolinas, spreading rain all the way through the Northeast. And we turn our attention to another low pressure system that is off the coast of California. That is going to be another weather system we will be watching over the next several days. And as that system makes its way off to the East Coast, on our Wednesday, we're not going to have the same level of risk for severe weather that we had on our Tuesday. We're going to generally see from New Jersey down to the Florida line about a 15% chance of severe weather. So marginal risk is what the Storm Prediction Center has issued for our Wednesday. And so again, let's watch this storm kind of develop and make its way through an exit. So we see it continuing to bring snow on our Wednesday, rain all the way up into Maine, into Ontario and Quebec, where you were seeing snow last weekend. That system makes its way off, and we watch for that other system to make its way onshore. By the time we get to Wednesday into Thursday, it's going to bring some rain and heavy rains to Southern California, snow to those higher elevations. So when it's all said and done, by the time we get to Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, we're going to see widespread 1 to 2 inches through Oklahoma, Arkansas, into northern Mississippi and Alabama. As we get up toward Iowa and Missouri, we're going to see heavier amounts approaching 2 inches of precipitation. And then up through Wisconsin, up to the UP into northern Michigan, a lot of this is going to fall in the form of rain and then quickly change to snow. So your snowfall totals are going to rapidly accumulate. So we can see a general swath southeastern Minnesota through central Wisconsin, including the Rhinelander area, up towards the UP, including Marquette, into Ontario. That could be the bullseye for the heavy amounts of snow with this particular system. We could see some light snow accumulations initially across Nebraska into South Dakota, generally 2 to 4 inches. As I mentioned, as we get to Thursday, that low pressure system is up in Ontario, and we're now watching that next system make its way onshore. And that low pressure is centered over Nevada, bringing snow to the higher elevations. Still some snow in those higher elevations, the mountain ranges in California. We do see a weak system making its way across Manitoba through the Canadian provinces. We do see a colder flow for the eastern half of the United States with those northwesterly winds in the wake of that massive spring storm system. But we also are seeing warmer and ridging starting to build across the central plains for the upcoming week. And by the time we get to our Friday, we're seeing another pretty significant snowstorm making its way out of Colorado into Nebraska, into Iowa, into southern Minnesota. This one too is a deep low at 985 millibars. So we're going to watch this particular system to see how it develops over the next several days. It's still a few days away, so we're still kind of getting some guidance on where the trends and where the path with this storm will take, and we'll keep you posted as soon as we know more information. So putting everything into motion from that Wednesday, we see that system basically going to bring snow to Wisconsin and Michigan, rain through the Ohio Valley. We look to the northwest, an atmospheric river hitting British Columbia, heavy amounts of rain and snow. We do see a system developing along the Gulf by our Saturday and Sunday. That could bring some snow to the Carolinas as it moves offshore. But it is that system out west that we're going to watch for our Saturday into our Sunday. That is going to be the one that's going to nudge the ridge to the east, and a deep trough is going to form over the western United States as we begin our next week of March. And that is going to bring cooler than normal temperatures to the western half of the United States. We can see this here with our 500 millibar anomaly map. Here's that system that's going to make its way through the big storm on Tuesday into Wednesday, bringing the snow and severe weather, making its way out. The next system comes into California with those heavier rains and mountain snows. It makes its way through the central plains, bringing snow through Nebraska and Iowa. We see that ridging take place while the eastern half of the United States has colder weather, but that ridge moves east, and it's that next system that makes its way onto the California coast, bringing colder than normal temperatures and unsettled weather. That migrates east through the central plains as the ridge breaks down in the east, and we could have another jab of colder than normal air for the Ohio Valley by the time we get to St. Patrick's Day, but then it quickly warms back up and another trough develops in the west. That is going to be our general pattern over the next 2 weeks, a series of storms making their way across the United States, warming for a couple days, cooling down for a couple days. We hope you've enjoyed this weather forecast here at the Weather Farm. If you would, leave any questions, comments that you might have about this particular video or the weather in general. Make plans now if you are in the South for your severe weather preparedness, and we hope to see you again real soon.